We're finding the perimeter and area of various figures. Perimeter meaning distance around the outside, and area meaning the space inside. Let's consider this triangle. You can see that the outsides of this triangle are 5, 5, and 6. So if I add those together, 5 plus 5 plus 6, that would equal 16 units is the perimeter. That's the length around the outside. The area of this triangle is a little more difficult. I want to use 1/2 times the base times the height. Right now I have the base, or the bottom of this triangle, is 6, but I don't have the height. You're going to have to be careful because the height is not always included. I may have to figure it out. In this case, I want this perpendicular distance from the bottom to the highest point on the triangle. And so to figure that out, I'm realizing that this is a triangle, a right triangle, and I can use the Pythagorean theorem to find this missing height. Half of this distance would be 3, so that's the bottom leg, and then this other leg is missing, and then the 5 is the hypotenuse. So I'm going to do 3 squared plus the height squared will equal 5 squared. So 9 plus height squared equals 25. And when I subtract my 9, I would get height squared equals 16. And so the height would equal 4. So this is 4. Now I can plug that into my formula. 1/2 times base, which is 6, height, which is 4. And so I'm just going to multiply those together. Half of 6 would be 3. 3 times 4 would be 12. And so this would be 12 units squared for my area. Let's look at a parallelogram. I see that the outside, the top and the bottom would be 16. And then the left and the right sides would each be 10 because they're the same length. And so the perimeter of my parallelogram is 2 times the 10 plus 2 times the 16, or 20 plus 32. So that would be 52 units for my perimeter. Okay, area for perimeter is base times height. So be careful, we're not going to do 16 times 10 like we would a rectangle. We're going to do 16 times the 8 because that's the perpendicular height. So 16 times 8, which would be 128 units squared. Okay, finally for a trapezoid, the perimeter is the distance around the outside, and so I've got two different bases. 16 and 28 are my two bases, and in this unit we're just going to use trapezoids that are symmetrical, and so this side will also be 10. And so I would add 2 10s and a 16 and a 28 together. So 20 plus 16 plus 28. And that would be, let's see, 36 plus 28 would be 64. So my perimeter is 64 units. And then for the area of my trapezoid, that's 1/2 times the sum of the two bases. So the 16 plus the 28, and then times the height, which is 8. So that would be 1/2. 16 plus 28 would be 44. And so then half of 44 would be 22. 22 times 8 is 176 units squared is my area of the trapezoid.